I have a 10x5 scrap shell along with 12 lugs, a bag of hardware, also some wires and a pair of hoops, and with it, as you can guess, I'm gonna build a snare drum. I have an older video where I built this here snare to match an Orange County kit that I had purchased, so go and check that one out as well. Getting into it, I need to start by filling up some holes. To do so, I back the holes from the inside of the shell with some painter's tape. And to fill the holes, I'm simply going to use a mixture of fine sawdust and wood glue mixed into a paste. There are multiple ways and methods to do this. I'm just going with what is fast and easy for me, but do as you will. After filling the holes that were needed, I gave it some time to dry before hitting it with a sander to clean it all up. And before I can route an edge onto this shell, I need to true it up or flatten it out, if you will. And to do that, I run it on some sandpaper until even. This is a thick piece of tempered glass. It is the most even surface that I have to work with, but ideally a slab of marble stone would be awesome here in this situation. Now here my routing skills are far less than superb, but this still was a pain in the ass shell to work with. It had splintered like hell when I went around with it the first time, so I'm thinking next time I might add some tape to see if that could help. But with some sanding, I was able to clean it up a bit. It's far from perfect, but will work for what I need to and will not interfere with the heads, so we're good. Up next was lug layout and marking the holes for those and then drilling them out. After I drilled them out, I used a step bit to clean them up before moving on to the next step. Moving on was just marking where I wanted the snare beds to be, and then simply with a file beginning to profile the beds into the shell and the edge. Then from there, I just followed it up with a little bit of sandpaper until I was happy with what I had. And there are better videos that can explain the science to a snare bed, but I'm just simply doing what I felt the shell called for and what fit. I did go back in off camera with a little bit of that DIY filler paste and fix some of the blowouts that I had from the routing process, and then sanded it down one last time. Since the shell is rough and ugly, I found some spare wrap that I had from another project, so I cut it down to fit. Using this cutter that I found at the Goodwill, I line it up on my mark and give it a few good passes with some light pressure to secure a clean cut. With it trimmed to length, I just need to trim it to depth, so I place it around the shell, mark, and I cut. Then with a modest amount of contact cement applied to the wrap as well as the shell, I let it tack up to the touch before putting it on. After lining it up with a few marks that I had made to make sure it was as straight as could be, I started at one end, making sure to flatten it as I worked my way around and apply pressure for a good bond. This small 10-inch shell has by far been the easiest thing I've wrapped when doing projects like so. That being said, if you are new to the process, I suggest starting on something small like this to get a good idea of how the bigger ones can go. And to finish up with the wrap, I just simply apply a little bit of glue to the seam before the final press down. And last but not least, to finish up the wrap job, I take a file and feather the edges, following it up with some sandpaper for a smooth blend. With the lugs back on, I just needed to make some slots in the bottom hoop to accept the snare wires. And at the beginning of the video, you've seen a pair of chrome hoops. Well, while looking for a different throw off for this, because the one I had was not going to work, I did find these black ones and decided to use them because overall I thought they matched the aesthetics of the drum better. Finding where I wanted the snare wires to be between the two lug points, I simply drilled some holes and made them bigger with a step bit to accept the jigsaw blade and went for gold. And by all means, you can totally skip this step and just go buy you a pair of hoops, but if you want to experiment and you have the means, then here you go. And to clean it all up, I just use a file followed up with some sandpaper until it is smooth to the touch. Once that was finished, it was time for final assembly, including a set of fresh Remo heads, and then it was on to playing. And there you guys have it, another super simple side snare project. A quick and easy one day or weekend project that you too can complete at home on your own. Something to do to add to the sound of your kit or to hone your building skills like so. Thanks for watching, leave a like, and if you already haven't, please hit that subscribe button. More so, I hope this video inspires you to make your own kind of side snare project, or a project nonetheless. So until next time, drums, drums, drums.